Hey guys, Duke here, and today we're going to be looking at a part of my stream from yesterday where we talk about power leveling and sunsetting and a whole bunch of other little things kind of correlating to those things based on the information that we got from Bungie yesterday, which was just a huge, huge piece of information, and I highly recommend reading all of it. I will link that into the description. I will also link the entirety of the stream that we had yesterday in the description, which was about a 3-hour discussion. And this is only about a 25-30 minute portion of it that I think is at least a little bit more focused on these important topics. And I thought maybe people on YouTube here would want to watch that, and potentially people would want to go back and see it at a later date. So I wanted to put it up here. But I hope you guys enjoy, and talk to you soon. So this section is basically rewards, power level things. Like these next two sections kind of stick together pretty well. But that's good. That's what we're going to talk about here. So with Season 11, we introduced Infusion Caps, you know, the thing everybody loves. An iteration on Infusion design to keep Destiny's gear game fresh from release to release and to create a healthy ecosystem for aspirational content. While we still believe in these goals, it's clear our execution was off the mark. Infusion Caps helped us meaningfully shift the meta in Beyond Light and create a rewards ecosystem that was manageable to balance and monitor, but the system has also made our rewards feel like they have an expiration date and have frequently made playing our legacy content feel shallow. We want the rewards you've earned in Beyond Light and the subsequent seasons to feel like valuable tools you can use in the incredible challenges you'll face in the Witch Queen, so we're making a change. We have made the decision that any weapon or armor that can currently be infused to max power will continue to be able to reach max power permanently. Starting in Season 14, which is next season, we won't be capping the infusion on any weapons or armor that you have not already reached the cap as of the start of Season 13, which is this season. This means you'll be able to take your Trustee, your Fallen Guillotine, and all this high stat armor you've earned this year to take on the raid in the Witch Queen. So reading this sentence, I've read this sentence probably like 15 times trying to figure out what this means. So starting in Season 14, which is next season, they're not capping anything that has not already reached the cap as of the start of Season 13. So the way I read this, basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, or correct me if you guys are reading this a different way, but the way I read this basically tells me if something has already been sunset, it's staying sunset. If it's not sunset, start of Season 13, which means like anything that's even like 1310 capped, which is this season, would have been sunset at the end of it, means that that will not be sunset. So I don't even know what's an example of something that would be sunset at the end of this season, but I don't think that stuff will be sunset, and basically nothing, no more things will be sunset, is the way I'm reading this. Correct me if you guys are reading this a different way. We got rid of Mountaintop, so it's all okay now, pretty much. It's still a thing. They do mention Fellwinters, actually right here in the next paragraph, or 2 paragraphs from now. They do mention Fellwinters, they do mention Warmine Cells. If anything is sunset this season, it's staying sunset. So is that, if you can infuse it now, you can infuse it permanently. So that's the way I'm reading it. Studious, you're saying if anything is sunset this season, it's staying sunset. So are you saying, Studious, that if it gets sunset at the end of this season, it will be sunset, or it's nothing forward is being a sunset? Because I'm still just like a little confused. Like I'm pretty sure, like the way I'm reading this again. So like again, if a 1310 cap thing would have been sunset at the end of the season, that will not be sunset. I don't think, because like this says reach the cap as of the start of Season 13. And at the start of the Season 13 would have been like 1260. So if it was already sunset, it's sunset. That's fine. If it's not sunset, it's okay. Okay. If it can't reach to 1310, if it can, it has no cap. Okay, that's what I thought. I was just double checking what you guys thought. I was relatively confident that's what it was, but I wasn't 1000%. Atrix and now barrier snipers made you run snipers more than ever. Dude, anti-barrier sniper. Can we talk about that? Like, it's insane. It's wild. It's so, I can't believe they did that. Like the day that came out, and I saw, I don't even know whose stream I was watching when I saw it on the mods thing, and I was like, bro, anti-barrier sniper, wild, so wild. Oh man. Lower in news, they wouldn't talk about nerfing Fellwinter. Yes, no, they're gonna be nerfing outliers still. It does, just because they're not sunsetting things doesn't mean they won't make buffs and nerfs, which I think is fine, right? I mean, they shouldn't just leave things forever. For 6 energy, I mean, the thing is though, in the content, like you don't want to use it always. Obviously, if there's no anti-barrier thing, you're not gonna have it on. But like 6 energy, I mean 6 energy is a lot. Yeah, you're gonna remove something else probably, but the how strong it is worth it in the content that you would want to use it in, honestly. Um, Obviously, I switch it off when I'm not using it because then I can put in an extra like recovery mod or an extra whatever else mod. Um, but then I tend to use my global reach in that slot because global reach only costs one, so I can use that in the final slot. Obviously that takes up a slot, so I can't, I'm putting that in for something else as anti-barrier. With anti-barrier being a special weapon, I feel a lot better about using a second primary weapon to either take on unstoppables or overloads, which those only cost one as well. So you can use the 6 energy for the sniper, 1 energy for global reach, 1 energy for the other anti-champion mod. That's 8. And you still have 2 points left over for the first slot that you can use like one of the half recovery. I think half recovery is only 2. You can basically put in like one of the half mods for 2 energy and still be okay. You do lose a little bit. Basically, the way I look at it is you're giving up 5 stats for anti-barrier sniper. Because otherwise you'd be able to put in like a full stat mod for the +10 instead of the +5. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, Fell Winters is pretty insane. Is pretty insane. Gnawing Hunger is safe. Yep. Barrier Sniper would never go away. It's pretty strong. It's pretty strong. Right. Exactly. I feel the same, bro. At least in the content you're going to use it in, right? Like again, like when you're in a Master GM level, Nightfall or Empire Hunt or basically anything with champions that are potentially over your level, you don't want to be close to them. You don't want to be close. Lament does have anti-barrier built in, but it's really tough to use that when you are under leveled, right? If you're of level for things, totally cool. Then you probably don't necessarily need to use a anti-barrier sniper. But having that option there when you are under leveled for things, it's like I don't want to go near that guy. I want to kill him from like behind my hidey hole and peek out for a quick second and break that shield really quick. Very nice. And secondly, Lament is your exotic slot too, so it does open up more options. Because I feel like Ariana's would be close to a anti-barrier sniper, but it is exotic. So it takes up your exotic slot. That's big, and B, also a lot of the content that you use an anti-barrier sniper in is going to be match game. And so if you're using Ariana's, that is your energy weapon, forces you into solar. Personally, I play a lot of warlock. Usually my subclass is solar, so I'm double solar at that point. And then my heavy would obviously not need to not be solar. But maybe there's not even solar shields, which then kind of wastes that part of it. And B, I could no longer use an exotic heavy, such as Xenophage, which would also be solar anyway, which would kind of be crazy, or Anarchy, which I tend to really like to use in the higher level content stuff. But there's a lot of different options. There's a lot of different options depending on what you're running, what you're comfortable with. I feel like anti-barrier sniper opens up a lot of options. That's definitely a thing. Also, DFan, hello. Martin, hello. We were just mentioning, I'm not sure how we got to that part, but TLDR, we were talking about anti-barrier sniper. I don't know how we got from this to that, but we're talking about all the discussions and kind of going into other thoughts and ideas as needed as well. Also, Adel Paris, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome in. Welcome. Allows your teammates to be an all-around player. Right. 100%. There's flexibility is good. Flexibility is good, and being able to have anti-barrier or any champion mod built into a special weapon, especially ranged special weapon, is pretty nice. At least for the option to use, I would say. And yeah, kinetic sniper specifically, bro. Again, the match game addition into a lot of that higher level content is what makes being able to use a primary type energy weapon really nice, in my opinion. More options better. I agree. Yo, Mike, hello. Good evening. Hope you're doing well tonight, friend. And okay, so we're here. While we still strongly believe that Destiny needs a method to shift our meta in the game's most challenging activities, which, funnily enough, we were just talking about kind of the anti-barrier sniper mod and the mods in the artifact, which that's kind of how they can and do this sometimes in terms of shifting our meta with the artifact. But we don't believe that infusion caps are the right answer. We've taken time this year to research and validate a plan that creates a fresh and balanceable ecosystem for our most aspirational content, one that doesn't make our rewards feel like they have an expiration date. We've learned a lot this year and don't want to rush finding the best plan, so don't expect to hear anything more about this until after Witch Queen. So kind of we did briefly touch on this earlier, but TLDR, see ya sunsetting goodbye, where they're going to come up with a new way to kind of try to push us into using new stuff continuously, but this is the band-aid for now. Putting a band-aid on it. No sunsetting. We'll figure it out later. That's pretty much what they're saying here. I mean, they're obviously working on it, but like we don't need to, as players, we don't need to worry about it until later, basically. Salva's going to be a permagun. Yes, collapse. It does sound like it will be a permagun. Again, we don't know what this means, right? Like this thing here where it says we don't know. They're not going to talk about it more until Witch Queen. We don't know what that means, but at the very least, anything we can use right now is usable for the next year, at least, and probably at least a little bit more going past that. There's still, they're going to be adding new things, and new content that makes us maybe want to use different stuff, but we'll have to see how it goes. Again, I think this is good, at least for now, and I do still agree with their idea in terms of like, shifting our meta in the most challenging activities. Because again, like for me right now, it's like, what will force me to not want to use the succession I have in, like, if I want to use a sniper. Like it just feels so good. Like no matter what they bring out as another sniper in the kinetic slot, like I feel like it would be like it'd have to be so insane for me to switch out my succession at that point, for PvE stuffs. And again, that becomes like power creep stuff and that type of discussion. But I think in my heart of hearts, if they can't make enough consistent weapons and new stuff, I'd rather them do this and then figure out stuff later to make us want to use more new stuff than the alternative, I would say. That's what I think, at least. From formerly known as Punisher, you gotta go back. You gotta put some 45s in there, dude. Chain reaction's insane, Brower. It really is. I like it a lot. With the investment into a weapon development team end of last year, I'm looking forward to what they'll bring us with, which will help the meta combo. True, Snail. So it's funny that you mentioned that because they don't talk about that at all in this. But all of these discussions and all of this going on in this little article here, on top of the fact that they already mentioned that they're adding a large portion of people to the weapon development team, is pretty exciting to me going forward. Like they're going to be adding, like if they can keep adding, new weapons every season and new interesting stuff to go after, and also like not be constantly sunset. Like they're going to get back to a lot of weapons that are going to be really interesting, that people are going to want to use. So I'm excited for that for sure. I'm very excited. Let's make sure we don't miss this, because this I know a couple people already talked about. Because we won't be capping any more of our weapons, we must consider more variables in the game's balance of our upcoming seasons and releases. So expect to see tuning when it comes to our biggest outliers in PvP and PvE. Yes, I'm looking at you, Fellwinters and Warmine Cells. Which, that just makes sense to me. I know people don't like they're getting their favorite weapon being nerfed and all that type of stuff, but like, at the end of the day, if something is too strong, it's too strong, right? Like there needs to be, it's a constantly evolving world, it's a constantly evolving game. There's constantly new stuff coming in, whether it be content or weapons. If stuff is either too strong when it drops or too strong because of something that they bring into the game, or something combos really well with something else, it is, I don't know. This is needed. This is needed either way, in my opinion. Whether they're sunsetting or not, I feel like balance is balance, and balance is good. This is a big change for Destiny, and one that we did not make lightly. However, we believe there's nothing more important in Destiny than getting our rewards right. I think that's important and very true. So this is kind of a additional thing that's similar to the last part. So let's talk about this really quick as well. Now that we've talked about rewards, let's talk about power. Last year we started a paradigm where we raised the overall power cap by 50 each season. While this helped ensure that Infusion Caps shifted the meta, it also made each season feel like a significant reset to the power you had accumulated. To combat this, we will be experimenting with a new power level cap. Starting in Season 14, we will only be raising the power cap by 10 for each non-expansion season. This means if you reach the maximum power in Season 13, when next season rolls around, you'll be directly in the 10-point pinnacle band of the power pursuit. This power increase should feel familiar to anyone who played Season of Dawn last year, and we're excited to see how this progression feels alongside our new systems. We believe this change will make it even easier to pick up and enjoy Destiny each season, while still allowing us to have a deep RPG power pursuit when we launch the Witch Queen. Which, there's a lot to unpack there, I would say. Lot to unpack. You just started using Warmine Cells. Use them, Darf. Honestly, same. I mean, even if they could nerf Warmine Cells, like, I don't even know how they have to nerf the range. Like, the range on Warmine Cells is insane. The damage kills everything. Like, it's it's insane. It's actually, like, even if they could nerf them really hard. They could nerf them by like 50% range and 50% damage, and they would still be insane. And I don't think they'll even nerf them that hard. Warmine Cells, that too. You make so many. You make so many, right? Like, it's so wild. It's so crazy. Like, if you're using like an SMG, like the Ikelos SMG, dude, you kill like 3 enemies and you make a Warmine Cell. It's crazy. It's crazy. Again, it's awesome. You feel incredibly strong, but like, how do they make content? I mean, I guess they do. I mean, you know, like the GMs and that type of stuff where you're just ridiculously underleveled is really the only content that then you don't necessarily want to use that in. But I know a lot of people don't necessarily like that because then it's like, it's a weird type of difficulty, right? Like, it's like it doesn't feel super great sometimes. But yeah. You're in the minority, but I enjoy the power grind each season expansion. Let me marinate on that for a second, Omar, because I feel somewhat. I feel the same as you somewhat, but at the same time, let me marinate on that for a second. I like the power grind on one character, by the third I'm burnt out on each new campaign. That's fair. I mean, the one nice thing were the power grind on one character, right, Papa? So, I mean, last week, I power grinded on my Warlock, and I did a little bit on my Hunter, I think. But I ended up getting my Warlock to 1300 base, and I didn't even touch my Titan. What I did is, you move your weapons over. That already gets you to like 1270 or whatever. I then grabbed the level 1 armor for my Titan. That gave all of my armor slots like 1273s or something, which then bumped my level to like 1280. Then I grabbed all the like armor again across each slot, like from leveling the season pass, which gave me 1280-ish armor in each slot, which bumped my total level to like 1280, like high 1280s. And at that point, so I was almost 1290 base on my extra character, which I could have done that on my Hunter too. I just happened to play on my Hunter some anyway. But I was already almost 1290 base on my third character without ever playing it. So like having that stuff that levels with you, assuming you use it and don't just grab it like instantaneously when you start playing, makes that like you not have to really grind the extra characters as much if you don't want to. But at the same time, again, I think there's more to that in my opinion when it comes to some of that leveling. Not done getting stasis in my third. True, that's true. The stasis stuff I don't play it enough to like do it. Plus I do like all the raids and stuff, so I'm like I don't even care about it that much. Global Reach is what makes them have so much range. True. Well, I only run Global Reach. That's the only mod I run. I literally just put Global Reach on and use the SMG, and then I'm done. That's it. That's it. Use 1 energy to make a ridiculous amount of Warmine Cells and kill everything in the room. It's so insane. It's so insane. I lose motivation when I reach the power gap. See, so that's part of me too, right, Darf? So here, let's talk about this really quick. Let's talk about what Omar and Darf said, because I think there's some people on both ends. So I definitely agree. Like, once you reach the power cap, what do you do, right? So there's 2 ends, right? It's like, so some people feel like, what do you do once you reach the power cap? Other people are like, I'm scrambling to reach the power cap, and I don't get to do like anything else. So like, I think the positive here that we can look at is this season, at least, they added a lot of weapons that you can go out and grind for. Where 2 in Gambit, 2 in Strikes, 2 in Crucible, 3 in the Nightfalls. That is a lot more. And a lot more of those that people actually want than previously. Like, I know last season they added, I think 1 in each. They had I know they had Stars and Shadow and Crucible that actually was pretty good. The shotgun, I think, in Vanguard, which I don't think I've ever used, but maybe some people do. And I believe there's a grenade launcher in Gambit, which I don't know much about. But like, if they add weapons to go for in each different activity every single season, then that can become the new grind rather than power level. Because power level, just grinding for power level for no reason, to me, isn't fun. Like, I've never, I mean, it's fine. Like, it's a reason to play. It's a reason to go for. It's not, like, fun on its own, though. Like, it's just a reason. It's a thing to do, if that makes sense. I would much rather the grind be going for the weapons or grinding out for the weapons and going for, like, exciting new things to have rather than just chasing a number. I feel like that's much more exciting, but that's also much harder for Bungie to constantly be making new stuff that's exciting to go for, that's like reasonably usable compared to the old stuff. Like it has to be as good or probably even better than your old stuff because you're attached to your old stuff to use it. So this is another situation where making this change is potentially a positive in some ways or negative in others, but I do feel adds more to their plate in terms of giving us a reason to keep playing. Because, you know, just adding 50 power, boom, 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 like that's easy. Like they just caps up by 50, we're done. Like, you know, that doesn't require them to do anything other than, you know, just increase the cap by 50. This requires them to make other reasons for us to want to grind and other reasons for us to want to play. So is that good? Is that bad? I see both sides. I think it's going to be dependent on what we can go for, what we can grind for, and that type of thing. Again, like stuff like the solo lost sectors too. You know, I did, like, you know, before Beyond Light came out, people were to the level they could do the solo lost sectors. Now Beyond Light comes out, or I'm sorry, not Beyond Light, but when Beyond Light comes out, grind up, do that. And then Season of Chosen comes out, then you no longer can do it. I mean, you could if you're like a gamer 40 below or 60 below or whatever the hell. But you know, most people aren't going to do that, so you have to grind up just to do the same content you're already doing. That doesn't feel good in any way, shape, or form. So I feel like this power in general is I like grinding. I don't mind grinding for a number. I like the concept of grinding for a number. I like the concept of grinding for weapons. I mean, I like grinding for weapons actually, just in general too. But the way that they're doing it doesn't always feel great. Again, for me personally, I just love playing the game, and I don't mind playing and doing different stuff, and again, going for that number. But I could very easily see why people don't like it. And it's, again, I think that's something that this is not a answer per se. This is okay for now. And again, I think weapons wise, it's going to be very crucial for them to have for them to have stuff for us to do, but I would like to see a different or bigger change down the line at some point. I think that's kind of everything that I would go with there. But I definitely understand both ends, and I definitely feel both ends at different times or in different like thoughts in my brain, if that makes any sense. Yo Viejo, have a great evening. I appreciate you. It's not enough for me to introduce one new activity that doesn't really help with the power grind and then say go do the same things to get 50 power levels. I can see that. Well, I think Battlegrounds wasn't as bad. Battlegrounds was a little better in that way, right, Studious? Because they had 3 powerfuls attached to it. Plus, at the end, you could get the +1s. So, like, Battlegrounds, at least it felt like you could, if you wanted to, just play mostly Battlegrounds and level pretty decently. But I do understand, like, going back and, you know, not everybody wants to go back and run the 3 strikes, run the 3 Crucible matches, run the 3 Gambit matches, go do your Empire hunt and your Prophecy dungeon and your raid and then this and that. Like, you have to do, you know, it's the same as it's always been. But it's the problem is, right, is if they just remove that, which they're kind of doing. Again, the 10 power cap, sure, but this is only pinnacle. So any of the things that are powerful leveling don't matter. So there's no reason to do any powerful drops. If you cap at that level of this season, as soon as the next season starts, you have no reason to do any powerful drops. So if they remove that, they need to then add something to get us to play. So other than the fact, you know, we just enjoy playing. You know, I feel like when I say that, it sounds weird because it's like, oh, we only play to level and we only play to get this imaginary number, because that's not true. But it's still a thought that is there in terms of if they remove a goal or an aspiration for players, they need to add a new aspiration or goal for players. I think that's important. Yes, Xbox is down. Xbox is down currently. New strikes, gambit maps, or crucible maps would be enough for me to not mind at all. I mean, obviously, you know, for those of us that play D1, they're not new D1 or new D2 strike maps, but I am loving Fallen Saber. I'm loving Sepix Prime. I wish Omnigul was back, but in the great disgraced / whatever it was called before. I missed the Scream at least, but I love honestly all 3 old new strikes that they brought back in. We do have a new strike that's coming in like 2 or 3 weeks, which I'm assuming was not delayed, but like in the middle of the season because of storyline. It seems like it's kind of leading to there potentially. But I mean they're actually adding some strikes, and then Empire hunts and even the battlegrounds are kind of strikes in general to me too. Basically, the way I look at it is battlegrounds and strikes, or I'm sorry, battlegrounds and empire hunts are strikes, but because of the way they're doing it with free to play, they couldn't make them strikes because then everybody would get them, and then we'd have no reason to buy the thing. Which I mean, you could argue is bad, whatever, but like they have to make money when it comes to like selling DLCs and selling seasons and all that stuff. So like I'm not gonna argue that it's bad. But they're basically strikes. They're just not in the strike playlist. So that's a thing. That's a thing too. Todd, hello, welcome friend. And Snail, have a great night. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you as always. Like the leveling for expansions, but less so for seasons. That's fair. That's very fair. And they did say that there is still going to be, so at the very end, still allowing us to have a deep RPG power pursuit when we launch the Witch Queen. I think with the expansion, there's still going to be a big one. You have an easier time helping people through Master Presage based on having such a high power level. There just needs to be things to do with that big number. True. No, well, that's true too, right? Because like until that Master Presage came out, there was no reason to level this season other than to do stuff you had already done. And I guess if you want to do GMs later, but that's also stuff people have already done. Or if you've never done it, then maybe not. But like it's already been there. So I think that's a big thing. Like if there's gonna be that power pursuit, there needs to be things that you're unlocking along the way. So. But also, then some people would argue that then if the only new stuff that comes in, like if they made Battlegrounds like 1300 content, right? Then people would say that, oh, the new content is locked behind having to do all the things I've already done 100 times, right? And so like, and I totally understand that idea too. What I do really like, which we haven't gotten to, and that's actually after this next section, is the concept of having normal and master in like everything. Like I want master raids, master dungeons, master, I feel it no, master patrols, like honestly, world tiers, right? Like from division and stuff. Like if there was like master level patrol areas and stuff, that's great. Like adding that type of stuff into just like everything is such a good idea in terms of at least I don't know obviously, but I feel like it's not nearly as taxing on them to just make a piece of content and then make the same content but just put in harder enemies basically. I feel like that's a lot easier than even like a hard mode raid how they did before with like new mechanics and that type of thing. So if they keep doing this going forward, which again that is talked about when we get there, I'm very excited.